So welcome to Money Designs. This is a live show on Ustream.tv, recorded for Ustream and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I've been a bad girl and I found a full set. Of the original Derwent pastel pencils. And so yesterday I went on a little train trip. Well, and I say a little, it was an epic journey, but it was good because I was on my own. First time on my own in my wheelchair. And it was wonderful. So this set is an original set, and you can always tell when you're looking at photographs because every third one is light. Because every third one is the F for faint. And that's how you know it's not the new one. And I met a wonderful gentleman who invited me to tea, and I didn't have a chance to have tea, so I was upset. So here again you see every third one is pale. And in the Derwent new pastels, they're all rotate to colours. But in this one, every third one is an F for faint. Aren't they awesome? And again, every third one is paler because it's the faintest one. So that one's the chocolate one, but theirs is chocolate deep. And the reason was I didn't have there's B for bold, D for dense, and F for faint. And I didn't have a lot of all three shades. So to keep that nice and tidy. So this is why I bought this wonderful set. And the idea is that you take the pencil out that you're using. My fingers don't work very well. And you put them like this. So if you were doing something all in pinks, like I put mine in my Derwent art bag, you would play, and then you would have all these pencils out, and then they just slide back into the original place, and they're quite stiff because they've never been used. Now this is a vintage set. I call it a vintage set because they're about 20 years old, because they don't make this soft crumbly pencil anymore. These are the pale colours. This is the set of 90. Having said that, I bought the new set of Derwent's, the bright, beautiful, vivid colours that I did a lot of colouring with. But I did want this complete set because I'm a bit of a lunatic like that. I like a full set. I do like a full set. So I might even do a colour, something with colour, because I didn't have many reds, and now I have all the reds. And then I have my original set, and even up to last night, I've set this up so that I could put them in my art bag, Derwent art bag, in these sleeves. I haven't quite decided how I'm going to do, but I think what I may do is leave this set in here, and then if I go away, if it's a model show, I could actually take these like this and they'll be safe, because I don't need any of those. I've got the full set here. I might have to think that out because I've got the original, I've got the new set of Derwent, which are, there doesn't seem to be any in here. So of course I've got duplicates of them. Here they are, look. So we've got the chocolate P590. This is from the new set. And then the chocolate ones were right at the bottom. There's 3 chocolates there. So I'm going to do, I think I might do a colour swatch with them all on, because you need to know how they all react. So we've got all the olives, and so we've got one colour, and then it's got a deeper colour and a paler colour. So instantly we've got 3 shades of the same colour. So when you're doing your colours in your colour books, that's perfect. So I will be doing sometime today. I'll be working in Imagimorphia probably, and I'll be working on there. So pop that there. So I'm going to get a piece of paper. Of course, you get the lovely guide. So on here, I thought I'd go through this. Actually, I don't need to do a colour swatch because we've got one here. But what I will do is I'll zoom in and we can have a good look at all the colours. Just make sure that's in focus. In fact, I'm going to zoom in a bit more. So we can actually read what's being said. So we have to keep an eye out for a bark alert, because so if I shout bark alert and you've got your ears on, you've got to take them off rather quickly. Come on, focus, you know you want to. Oopsie, sorry. No, I'm going to have to go all the way in there and then focus. I want to be able to read. Let me just think what I have. I just pop that shut. The pack of baby wipes might come in handy, because you need to be able to read what we're looking at, really. If we had the perfect... Right, I think my eyesight's a little bit bad, but that's the best I'm going to do, I think. Excuse me. So we have a zinc yellow. Bear with me. I am sure that I can get a little bit neater, so I don't want to make anybody sick. So this is the Derwent pastel pencil colour range. This is the original set that Derwent no longer make. And we have a zinc yellow B, and it does give you here, it says here, if I can get this right, just see if I can focus on this. We have full strength. So B is full strength, D is deep tint, F is mid tint, and H is a light tint. Now I think there's only one light, and that's the French ivory, French grey. So you've got 4 French greys. You've got a B, a D, an F, and an H. I don't think there's an H anywhere else, but I might be mistaken. But we're going to go through it. So the first lot we have is zinc. If I could just... So we have zinc yellow, and then we have B, and then it looks a little bit paler, that's dense, sorry, lighter, zinc yellow, and then we have a paler one, which is F for faint, and then we have a deep cadmium, then we have a lighter dense cadmium, and then we have a faint cadmium, the lightest. So if you were colouring something, you've got your darker shade and your lighter shade, all 3 instantly, which is brilliant Oh, hi Caroline, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Yes, I was a naughty girl. But I bought them on eBay because you can only buy them second hand, although these are brand new, because they don't make them anymore. And I didn't want them put in the post because they're the really, really big pastely soft pastels. So they're quite delicate. So I went all the way to nearly Kidderminster on the train. But it worked really well. Everybody was wonderful. Met some lovely people, and it was really good for me to go out on my own for the first time in the wheelchair. Because my husband said, "Oh, you won't be able to cope," and anyway, I didn't. I was fab. They even pushed me to Marks and Spencer's in Birmingham so that I could get us some lunch for the train journey back. So they were very, very good. Bless them. So the next one is Spectrum Orange. So we have the B, which is the dark bold, then we have the mid colour, D, and then we have a paler version of that. And what that means is when we were talking last time about how a pastel is made, you would have an original colour, then you would add the chalk white to it to dense it down, and then more white would then make a paler shade, a paler tint. So if it was a watercolour, it just means that you're adding more water. If it's oil or acrylics or what was the other one? Gouache, you would be adding a white, and basically that's all it is. It's the original colour and it's been toned down, so it's a tint. Because it calls it here, B is the full strength, B is the proper colour, D is a deeper tint, and F is a mid tint, and H is a light tint. So they're all tints, but the B is the original colour. And again, this is fantastic for colour work. Yes, I did. I was very naughty. I've also been naughty again because the Amazon gremlin got me last night as well. But hopefully when we have the bark alert, we'll have an opening. We'll have a show and tell, shall we say. So again, Spectrum Orange, you've got Spectrum Orange, which is number 11, which is the B for bold. Spectrum Orange D is number 11. Now what Derwent's done with the new set of pencils is they've got rid of all this. This is based on how pastels in pastel form would be. This is obviously one of the first people to put them into pencils 20 odd years ago. So what they've done is, this is a bit confusing, and it's kind of, you've got the deep cadmium but you haven't so what they've done is brought out 72, and they've given you quite a few yellows. They've given you probably 8 yellows, 8 cold oranges, reds like the cadmium red. Then they've got quite a few warm reds, which are the crimson lakes, the magenta, geranium lake. And then they've given you half a dozen purpley blues, the violet blue, ultramarine, and then they've given you colder blues, Prussian blue and spectrum blue. So although these colours, it's still a fab colour collection. If you call it like a colour wheel, it's perfect. And the new Derwent ones they've made so much easier. And I don't believe I have the Derwent. I don't think I've got the pastel. I must keep that handy actually. I've just thrown all the other pencils in here. So. No, it's not handy. So if you go on the website now, or you Google Derwent watercolour pencils, pastel pencils, sorry, beg your pardon, then you will come up with a colour chart, and it's 1 to 72. But I'm going to do like a colour match, but I'll do that probably next week, and compare the old ones to the new ones, and we can see how they've made the colours a better choice. We've then got Geranium Lake, which is 15B, and we've got bold, dense, and faint. So again, you can't add white. Well, you can add white to pastels, but we, again, for colouring in a colour book, remember, we don't have that tooth, so we need to put colours together and then blend, because we've only got one layer. So then we've got a crimson lake. These are the pinky ones. It's a pinky red. That's the bold, the dense, and the faint. The magenta, which is the very, very pinky. Then we've got dark violet, which is very purpley blue, very purple. French ultramarine, of course, that's the purpley blue. That gives you the best purple colours if you want to mix them yourself. Spectrum blue is cooler. For seas, that looks good for rivers and seas because it's cold. Prussian blues. Then there's indigo. Those two are quite good for shadows. The indigo is wonderful for a cold shadow. Forest green. Terra Verde is wonderful for dark forests. Hooker's green is the grass green, the pale green. French emerald. May green, then you're going into your olives. So we've got May green, which is quite a bright colour, but it's just touching on a light olive. Then we've got olive green, dark olive, and then we've got green umber, which is kind of a brown, but it's got a tint of green. It's a greeny brown. Then we've got umber, sepia, which is a dark, cold brown. Burnt umber. Then we've got the ochres, brown ochre, so that's kind of a warm brown. Orange earth, that's a warmy orangey red colour. Burnt sienna, that's another warm brown. Terracotta is a reddy brown. Burnt carmine, purpley brown, that's also wonderful for shadows. Chocolate, or just the name of it, you want to use it. Gorgeous chocolate browns. And then we've got the black ivory, and then we've got 4 French greys. We've got a bold, we've got a dense, a faint, and then we've got a highlight. So that's very, very faint. So 4 greys would be wonderful for the Kirby Roseanne metal, all the metal pieces in one of the books. That would be good. And we have the Chinese white. And don't forget that in normal colouring with pastels, you can put white under anything to keep the vibrancy, to keep it bright. So if you put Chinese white down and then put a yellow, that yellow would be very bright. So that's my set of pastel pencils. Just remove all these and take it down to there. So we can see the colours as they actually are. There's still quite a lot of light coming in this room. So we've got oopsie, turn round and don't be naughty. Just have to rest my hand. I cannot just hold my hand up in the air. So we've got, I just pop that onto automatic focus because it might just want to be automatic focus. No, it doesn't want to be. So there we've got zinc yellow B, zinc yellow D, and zinc yellow F. So we've got the middle colour, we've got a tone darker and a tone lighter. And you can see that there, so that's your mid-tone, that's your bolder tone, and that's your paler tone. But that's the original colour, these are tints. I do apologise, that's the original colour, these are paler. So pop those back there. And we can pick the next 3 up. So again, we want to look at, sorry, my hands don't work very well. So we want to look at the 3 colours. So we've got the original colour and 2 paler. So the D I would use in the middle. And if you look at the other end, you can see that that's the palest, that's the other one, and then that's the boldest, the deepest colour. And if you put them together, you will find that you have, by magic, a warm and a cold yellow. So these 3 are the colds and those 3 are the warms. Because a cadmium yellow is a warm yellow. A zinc yellow is a cold yellow. Oops, I can't get them back in now. And then we've got the spectrum oranges. So if we look at geranium B and crimson lake B, we've got a pinky red and we've got a reddy orangey red. See, orangey red is cold because it's nearer orange and yellow, and basically it's that pink with yellow in it, so that's cold. And then your warm is your pinky, which is next to your purples, and purple is warm, and your warm blue. So that's the difference. So we've got 2 of those. There's also an orange in here as well. The orange B is a beautiful bright orange. So we have a wonderful colour wheel here. So we've got some pinks, and then we'll go to the blues. So if we take out that one and that one, what's that one? We can put Prussian blue back because it's a mid. So again, we've got French ultramarine, Prussian blue. We've got a warm purpley blue, and we've got a colder blue. And we can see that that's a purple, the colour's not brilliant, that's the purpley one and that's a cooler one. So again, we've got our 2 colours. So it's a good set because you've got these good colours. Now there's a lot of greens here. These are all greens, and Prussian blues goes all the way to greens, from mint green to olives. Then we've got the fawn colours. And then in the bottom we have a lot of browns and oranges and terracottas, lots of nice tiles, and brick colours are in the bottom. They're quite nice, all the browns and the fawns. Then we've got the foresty colours, the green. So I may leave these in this box, I think. So we know that we've got a really good set, even with just those 6 colours. We've got a really good set because we've got the warm and the cold, the warm and the cold, and the warm and the cold. So cadmium orange is, I would say, is like spectrum orange. Cadmium orange is cold. Magenta and crimson are warm. Right. So has anybody got any questions? So I can zoom out a little bit. Oops, wrong way. So I was desperate to finish the Charlie picture, but I think what I might do is start another one using these. So if you bear with me a second, see if I can spin round and pull. So all those greys I think will be wonderful. Let me just pan out a bit. So there, all those greens will be fab for the metal parts in this could be interesting to do. I might have a go at this actually. Excuse me. So I'll have a go at this one. So my hands have been quite bad recently, but we're going to have a go. So again, I meant to take this with me yesterday, and then I thought, no, last minute I didn't. I need my eraser. I've got my little water pot and a cloth in there, but I'm not going to use that. I've got a little pack of baby wipes, but again I'm going to leave that in there. I have my blendable tools. Oops, sorry. And I've got my scalpel blade and sharpener. Am I going to set it as I go along? Quite decided, but got my spare nibs. My spare erasers for my erasing tool, because I like a sharp edge when I'm working. So I don't think I need anything in there, apart from I do need a new sticker, because what I tend to do is when I start a new page I put a sticker on it. So all these I need to do, so there's a lot there to finish. Pop that back in there. I'll keep these out, not sure if I'm going to use it. This is the tiny little brush. Try that one. Yes, that's better. And it comes in the Cotman little water set, but it's very good for setting if you don't have a normal rigger. And it's very good for small spaces. I use that instead of blending. So I'm going to pop those away. Because zip that back up. Because at this side I have my riggers, so I'm going to take out I'll leave those there actually, because I use quite a lot of them. So I did put the sketchy stories in and then I forgot it yesterday, but it was okay. It was good fun. So I'm going to work on this side, I think. And I say I'm just a bit, got lots of things around me. And I think this is why I like this method here of having the pastels here to flip, because I only need at once this space next to me and I just flip across. Whereas when these beautiful things are in this awesome box, you tend to want excuse me, coffee gives me indigestion. You want to have the box like that so you can get to 3 sides. But I've realised I have a problem getting these out of here at the moment. We'll see how we go. So this is how you know that your browns and fawns are down there and greys. Your warm yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, purples, blues, cold greens, light warm greens, olives and fawns are all together. So as I say, you use it like that so you can get to everything. If I pan out a little bit, if I can see, I think I'm at the furthest. And then you get the colour that you want, you use it, and then you put it back. Or if you're working, you can leave them out. So instead of having a tray like I have, I leave them out, so you know that this is the colour you've used. And then you pop the pencil back at night so you know where it is. But my problem is when I put it back I will have forgotten what colour. So I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. We'll have to have a see, but this is how it's going to be set out off camera so that I can look for a colour that I want. Easier said than done, really. And the gentleman very kindly put lots and lots of lovely foam in to protect them. So I'm going to pop that on there. The only other thing you could do is to prop this up. I could prop it up. But again, it's hurting my hands to pick these trays up. As much as they are wonderful, it maybe is not the perfect idea for me. But we'll have a go. Not sure sitting it on a live laptop is going to be the thing to do. So again, I've got my little orange tag so I know where I am. Yeah, they're a little bit difficult to pick up for me, but anybody that's got normal hands will be fine. It's just me being awkward. Excuse me, I was just looking for... So I shall leave that one there. And I've got... I think I may actually go as I go along. No, I think I'm just going to blend. I think I'm going to blend. So I could... Oh dear, sorry, there's a backlit. Could put some light on the subject. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm sorry about this silly wire that's getting on my nerves. Might have to shout at the dog in a minute. So I'll get my little blending tools. There's a lot of small spaces here. There is quite a few small spaces. I think I've changed my mind. I'm not going to blend because there's a lot of small spaces. So I'm just going to actually use a paintbrush, a rigger. I'm not going to blend first. I'm just going to use a rigger. So I think I normally use those two. But then I'll have to use a finer one when we get to the finer spots. So you do have to change a little bit, but 3 riggers is fine. A medium and a larger one will be fine. And I need a pot of water, but I've got my ink pot, which is quite dirty, but I can't get up for water, so I just have to put some out of my bottle. You need very, very little water, but I'm going to use my ink pot. I'm going to put my ink pot there. And I need a baby wipe. For something to put on here. I seem to have moved everything from my desk now. I'll pop it in there. So that's the lid of the ink pot. So I've got ink pot. I can actually put the blending tools away. Right, so let's have a go. I'll zoom in and then we can have a play. I'm going to be naughty and put that back. And because I'm actually going to be setting it as I go with a paintbrush and blending with a paintbrush. I don't have to think about starting on the left and working across. I can start wherever I want, but I'm going to probably do the snake head first. So I hope that's in focus. So I've got quite an array of yellows here. We've got the cold yellow, the warm yellows, and the oranges here. So I'm going to set out and put all these out here. So they're all in order and they're all kind of just sitting with their little noses poking out, so I can take one out and slide it back. So they're not going to be sliding everywhere. So I've coloured this on the UG, on my digital. And there's some nice colours on here, so I'm just going to have a look for my phone. And again, I like to do this because it's nice to use a reference. My phone's been a little bit slow, so has anybody got any questions? So welcome to Bunny's Designs. It's quite a nice bright day in the UK, which is most unusual, but we've got 2 days in a row, and it was glorious yesterday. So if we look at this one, this is the picture of Tutankhamun or Tutankhamun, and we can really have a look at how shiny they are. Now there isn't a lot of shine on that on the blue. There is a little bit, but there's a lot on the gold. So here we can pick out. It's a gold, but it's not. If we could just try that, and again, what I might actually just do is I'll turn that laptop off because I've got my pencils resting on there. So if we have a look in some other oranges, orange earth, there's some creamy kind of, but this is cold yellow. This is cold. What's the next one? Have a look at that one. This one's called brown earth ochre. So we need our, oops. I shouldn't really use this because this is the nicest paper, because what I've done I've printed out on paper that's a bit thicker than ordinary printer paper. Instead of being at 60 or 50, this is 100 GMs, and it's a nicer surface. I'm just going to have a bit of a play. So that's, you've got 3 tones here. And that's the faint colour. Now you can obviously do colours whatever you want, but this is how I have a look at it and see if I can play. This should be the strongest one of all. You see, that's the bold, so that's the strongest one of all. But I think there's a bit of a green tint to that, but I don't have any yellowy green, so I like that one. I think that's I'll use that one as the highlight, the very, very bright highlight. Although I think I like Zinc F. I think Zinc F is very pale. Yep, I think I'm going to use Zinc F because it's connected. There is a bit of a connection with those rather than these. So for the gold, I've got 6 shades. which is going to be enough for anybody. And then I can also put a little bit of white. I put a bit of white for the very, very, very bright highlight. Because when we blend it together, there will be a change. So I'm going to have a look at that. So sometimes you can see some nice shadows and things on here. Now I do have an advantage. I've already done this on ArtRage as a digi, so it makes a little bit of a difference. I then need the blues, so I'm going to look for a blue. Now some blues, that might be a little bit too pale. I think I might use this one again, just having a practice. And that's too purple. So this is because I've not played with this set before. So again, once you've done one, then you kind of get a little bit better. So I think that one's not quite right. I think it's going to be that one. Yeah. So we've got Spectrum Blue F for faint. So we sorted that one out here, so I can leave that one again just sticking out a little bit. Excuse me. I've just had an idea. If you're working on a page, you can put them back in the tray, but backwards, upside down. So they're still in the tray, but you know which ones they are and they're in the right place. So that's a good idea. That solved the problem of me not remembering what I've used. So then we want some really rich French ultramarine. I keep calling it French ultramarine, but it isn't. It's a little bit bluer than that, but I think that's going to be the bluest we're going to get, really, I think. Because it is a bit of a warm... It's a warm blue. And that's ultramarine D. So that's too purple, is that one. So we've got one. Look at faint. I'm looking for this colour here now. Looking for that colour there. Yeah, that one's too purple. Let's look at this one. You have to have a little bit of a connection, just a little bit of a connection. So I've got two. Have a quick look at this one. Here we've got three. I think I like... Yep, we've got three. So again, I really need to keep those in order. So we've got the Prussian blue there, and then they go kind of there. So I think we could start here. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live stream from ustream.tv, recorded for YouTube and also for Ustream for people to watch at their leisure. And that was wrong way around, sorry. Excuse me, a quick slurp. Sorry, this is Ustream, recorded for Ustream and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. So, so I've got some little brushes here and they've been dampened and my baby wipes. So they're all ready. Because I decided there's a lot of small spaces here, so I'm probably going to blend as I go along rather than blend and then fix it with water, because I want to get some nice blending tones on here, and I'm not going to be able to do that. So I possibly could get away with quite a lot. So we're just going to do this purple here. So I'm going to put a little speck of colour, and I'm going to put it in the middle, I think. And again, remember, just the slightest touch, because we don't want any dust. So somebody asked about how do you get rid of your dust. If you've got dust, you're doing it wrong. Only for this particular way of working. If you want to work with pastels in your colour book, you do not want to see dust. There's a tiniest little bit of dust there, tiniest. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wet it, or you could use the blending tool and blend all that in, because all that dust isn't dust, it's colour. So I've used all that colour and I've captured it with a damp brush. So if you suffer from asthma, you know that if you use a damp cloth when you are dusting, the dust does not go everywhere, and that's why. So all that dust is instantly captured, but it isn't actually dust, it's colour, it's pigment, and that's dried and it's set. So really like working this way. I've got a number 2 Rigger Aqualine Dale Rowney, and that's going to be enough. There's no really huge spaces. So I'm playing with my new box of Derwent pastel pencils from 20 years ago. And again, you're colour mixing, so here is like a purpley fawny brown. Now I think I know which colour I want. The carmines are nice. And again, what you have to do is play. I'm not used to these colours yet, so I'm going to play. But I think if I add, that's going to be a fairly close match to that. And if you want to be really accurate, you paint it at the end and touch across to see if it matches. So if I put that on the end, and again the slightest touch, I'm not pressing down at all. So if you can put that there, you can see it's not a perfect match, but it's not far out. And it's a bit different this. I'm going to do that one. Well, I would have done if I needed it, but obviously I don't need it because it's the wrong colour. So I'm going to do this one in blue. If we have a look at a different picture, it shows turquoises on the cross bit there. That's a better one. So you can see some colour here, some reds and blues. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play. Yep, I like that one. So this one's going here. So again, just the smallest bit. And it's a colour book, it's not going to be completely accurate. Exactly accurate, I mean, sorry. And you just stroke that in. So all the dust instantly turns to paint, and then you just push it about. So although it's not a watercolour, when you wet the pastels, any pastel, it behaves like a watercolour. Technically it isn't a watercolour, but it behaves like a watercolour. So I kind of want a little bit of richness into here, so I'm going to put a little bit of this in every other one, but not much, just slight. Sorry, I can't use my thumb. Just the slightest little bit of colour, and a damp brush, and we can just mix that in. So there could be a bark alert. I don't think so, it's a bit early, but there could be a bark alert. So if I suddenly jump up, that should be, whoopsie, Grumpy Bumps is not actually sitting with me, listen. He's just in the kitchen, being a wolf. He was bathed yesterday, so he's quite a nice smelly boy now. So I think we've got kind of a rich, deepy red. So these reds, I don't know if the Crimson Lake bold. Oh, I quite like that. But it's a little bit of a pinky one, so I'm going to have a look at the carmines. Now this is the carmine. It's a bit grungy pink. So really, I think it's going to have to be... I'll just have a quick look at the carmine D. Yeah, that's actually a warmish brown is that. So we want a bit of a reddy one, so it's going to have to be Crimson Lake. Let me just put a little bit of that on. And a damp brush. Apologies for the grumblings. If anybody can hear Alfie having a bit of a grumble. And I quite like working like this. I don't have to mix any colours. And I missed the Inktense and the watercolours, but I cannot scribble down any pressure to actually make a mark with colour. This, you're literally sliding it across the page, and again the lovely thing is that's now set. If I put a damp brush to it, it would move again. It reacts like a watercolour, but it technically isn't a watercolour because it doesn't have any binder in it. This is the nearest thing to pure colour you can get. So what I'm going to do with this is just dab. This is the deep cadmium B. This is the boldest, deepest colour. So where Kirby has put the shadowy bits, I'm using this colour. And building round. And the head as well. And then I've got my very, very palest. I want zinc yellow F, and this is going to be my highlight for the gold. And remember what we said about pastels on colour books. We do not have a tooth, so we can't put colour over colour. What we're going to do is touch the colour next to it, so that there's no space at all of white. There's no white whatsoever, but that's going to give you and you need to start at the palest first, otherwise it'll just mix in, because that yellow, cadmium yellow, is very, very strong. So first is the palest, and then knock that colour in so you've got your highlights. And we're not making highlights with water like we normally do with the colours. Just put a bit in and then manipulate it around. We're actually filling the whole space with colour. So all this colour, it's all different. There's the light yellow, there's the gold, there's light, there's gold, but we put them together, and then when we blend them, that's how we're working basically. We're putting all this colour together, sitting next to each other, side by side. Nope, that's not going to work either. I seem to have got just a bit of... So we're going to do the snake, and again we've got a shadow under here, but a bit of a highlight as we're going round. So again we want the darkest underneath, and it's not always the hardest thing to do, because it's where the cross hatching is. So where you've got all the lines, it indicates where it's darkest. So again, you just want a tiny bit of that. And I'm actually going to go straight to pale, I think. I think we'll have a bit of a pale. bit up there, and then we'll put deep cadmium D. Ow, sorry, cannot touch this thumb at all. So again, just a bit of a scratch and you've got some dust. So if you've got any questions, pop them in caps. So again, start at the palest, manipulate that colour down, and the same with this one. Start with that one and work it down, and you should have a natural highlight. But remember what we said, when we've finished this particular snake, we can put one light layer on top for a shadow. So I tried to put my lights in, but this is only because we do not have a tooth. If you're working on pastel paper, then you can build up your layers depending on how rough your paper is, but we don't have that luxury. Again, that yellow around there, and then the palest for the highlight. And I am trying to put the pencils back as I use them. So we go in with the palest and then manipulate that colour. Now that's a little bit stronger than it normally is, but hopefully that should be okay. So I need to work out that the darker shadow is the blue. So the gold is here. So we want a paler gold at this side, don't we? And we wanted the French ultramarine. I think that's a little bit kind of blue. I think it could possibly be. I like that one. Now the other thing to do is to just have a bit of a play. Yeah, it is that kind of blue, so it's the Prussian blue bold, I think. Yep, I think I like that one the best. So I'm going to put the tiniest bit of blue here and down here. And this time I am using it to manipulate. So this pale is going to be pale because I haven't got any colour there. Let's have a look at Spectrum Blue F. Yeah, we'll put the Spectrum Blue F in. And then we're going to do a bit of a blend. Start with the palest and capture that. As soon as it goes into a watercolour, you can see it being moved about. And so it's almost set now, is that? We've got that lovely highlight right on the end, which is not going to show up until I've put. It won't show until I've put my yellow on. So again, this is going to be deeper. I actually think I'm just going to use two colours for both of them. Actually, I think that's going to turn out quite well. So we've got the darkest and we've got the palest, and I didn't start with the palest, so that was silly. So we've got lemon zinc. So you could use this colour in your new Derwent set. If you've got the set of new Derwent pastel pencils, there's a cadmium yellow, and I've got a really nice highlight on there, if you can see. There's a natural highlight there, so there's going to be a natural highlight there. So again, I've got the palest yellow, and then we want a bit of dark yellow there. And that's all there is to it. You just very, very carefully keep just stroking that colour in. Now I lost the highlight there but that's fine. I just want I'm not sure if I can do this. Just see if we can just put the tiniest little bit. I'm going to use this one as a shadow, and this one is Orange Earth D. Just want to give that a bit of a contrast. And again, it's dust, but it's fine. It's turning into a watercolour. Yeah, you can't put it over wet. I did that last time. So if you put it over wet, you damage your page. So you must let it dry, which I didn't do. So I shall put the highlight, the shadow, low light in afterwards. So I've got my blue. But on a colour page, especially this size, this is perfect. 2 colours. Because by the time you've blended them, you've probably got about another 6 colours in between. So, you know, you've got your pale there, but then you've mixed it in. So, and again, I love this way of working. I'm not holding this with my thumb. It's just stroking that page with a tiny amount of water to give me a highlight, but it is going to be a little bit shadowy under there anyway. So that next one is, I think that one's actually gold, and I don't have any points on these. This is as they arrived. There's no point on them, but that's fine. I'm only using the tiniest amount of colour. And we want the tiniest bit of blue on there. And the wonderful thing is you use hardly any pastel at all. Hardly any. And remember, you see, the beautiful thing about my UG is you can turn the page. But I'm going to turn the page that way because I want to have a bit of a highlight. And I just need a tiniest amount of space, because if I lean forwards, I'm going to knock the page every time. So again, that's now more comfortable for me to get some really nice highlights going. Ideally it would be like that, but that's quite comfortable. So that one would be yellow. So again, we've got the deepest yellow, the cadmium yellow B, and then we want the highlight, and then we want the tiniest amount of yellow there. Dear. And then we can manipulate that in there. Drag that down so we've got a highlight. I mean, you could just do one colour. You could just do the blue and then manoeuvre that around, so by the time you get to the middle you've got hardly any left. But I'm choosing to use 2 tiniest amount of colour, so these pencils are going to last a long time. So pop that into there. Manoeuvre that shadow round. Because it's a natural shadow, it's not a sharp shadow, it's a natural highlight. So I've got, if I turn that way, I've now got my lovely natural highlight that I'm going to follow all the way down there. So again, the same thing. We want, oops, made a mistake. I'll put yellow there and it should be next to it. So, trusty eraser. And it's gone. And remember, because this is being rubbed with a tiny bit of water, it's become a water, it's set. It's not a pastel anymore, it's completely set, and there's no fixatives. So again, I love that. So a little bit of gold there and yellow there, and then, so I'm only using 2 colours, so I'm quite, you don't need all of them, but I'm using 2 colours. It's just nice to have the choice. And I didn't do what I practice, what I preach. I did the pale first, and then we go into the darker, and that's going to give you a highlight. Now if you only had one colour, you could put the yellow there and blend, and you would have your highlight. So we want the blue one now. So you just, it's just a bit of waxy thing on that. I hope it's going to get better and not be all the way through. And a tiny bit on the top. And the pale blue. Now you could do all blues first if you didn't want to keep picking your pencil up, and right, so the pale blue, it's just like a baby powder blue, and then carefully manipulate that, and you can tell instantly it jumps into the deepest blue, so you know it's activated, and then you manoeuvre it around, and so you can get a nice highlight. And if you're not happy, you can take it back, because bearing in mind it's acting like a watercolour now, so you can take that highlight back if you want to, but you've got to do it quick, and you can't put anything else over the top of it because it won't like it, but you can get away with it if you're very quick to start with. So you just keep going like this. So we want some yellow here, and zinc yellow F. So I've got the deepest yellow and the lightest yellow. And then manipulate that round, and you can tell as soon as it starts to become a watercolour. I'm going to be a bit careful next to that blue because you will get green, but there we go. So you can see that natural highlight coming down here. That was very little effort. I'll just carry on to the ears. Again, dark blue there. Pale blue in the middle. You just take the brush, manipulate that into a watercolour. as I say, although technically it isn't a watercolour, but it reacts just like a watercolour. But the binder in it isn't a watercolour, but it actually makes it react with water like, very much like a watercolour. And you've manipulated that round. And scratch a bit of yellow. And zinc yellow F, the faintest one. I mean, you could use white if you wanted, it's just I actually kind of like having just that hint of colour. And then we can take that back. And you just keep going. And I say, there's always the dark colours sketch has been done for you, so you don't have to do anything, just scratch the tiniest amount of blue. Seems to be a bit of a wax problem on this one. I hope it's not all the way through the pencil. I don't think I can return them now after 20 years, but there's still enough colour on there, it'll be fine. And of course, if I'm really desperate, I can just swap it with one of the other ones, but I would have liked to have kept them together. But so we just, and I don't want to bring that down, so I'm going to take it back. As if you're really quick, it reacts like a watercolour. You can take that back and lift it off, so it's more evenly highlight. So all those greys are going to be gorgeous on the metalwork, I think. And there was a little bit extra dust there, but I soon kind of mushed that into a fake watercolour, shall we call it? A fake watercolour. And it's very quick. It's very quick. Or fairly quick, I should say. So if I pan out now, bear with me. That highlight looks pretty good. That highlight going all the way down there. So I found that quite fast as well. And of course I've got my pencils here. I did keep the two blues away because I was crossing my hand over all the time. So they go there. So I've left these sticking out that I'm using, and then all the others are away in the box. So I can actually push them. If I push them in, I can push them in and shut the lid, apart from that one and the white one. But again, I can put that one in upside down. And I did use that one, but I don't think I need that one anymore. Is there any more red? I think there is some more red, so I'm going to leave that one that way. So what I've done is I've put all the pencils away, but the ones I've used are pointing that way, and the ones I haven't used are pointing that way. So that's going to give me an indication of which colours I've used. Otherwise I would forget. Didn't actually use the white. So thanks for watching. That's the end of part 1 of the Derwent pastel pencil Tutankhamun page in Imagimorphia. So thank you for watching.